All right, welcome to today's class on Dotloop 101. My name is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing, and in today's class we'll be going through the Dotloop basics. So today's class is designed for agents who have never been in Dotloop, or maybe you're just getting started with learning the system. So it'll be a slower paced class where we'll be learning all of the Dotloop basics. We do have a Dotloop 201 class that can be found on slmtraining.com if you'd like a little more of a fast-paced, advanced tips, tricks, and time savers on Dotloop. Again, that can be found on slmtraining.com. Now, the best way to get into your Dotloop account is by going to mykw.kw.com. Okay, so that's where I am on my screen here. Again, that is mykw.kw.com. It's a couple dots in there. And that will take you over to this page right here, and you'll want to put in your username and password. So your username is not case sensitive. Okay, it's typically something like your first initial, last name, and maybe a number if your last name is a little more common. All right, but your password is case sensitive. All right, so you will need an uppercase letter in there, and it requires a lowercase letter and a number. It has to be at least 8 characters, I believe. So just to give you a heads up. If you're not sure of what your password is for MyKW, I feel you. There's so many passwords for everything. Feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com. Actually, let me go ahead and send out our email address. It's great for you guys to have on file. We do answer emails between 5 to 10 minutes or less during normal business hours. So feel free to email us anytime. We're happy to help out. So again, that is support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can help you reset your password if you're not sure of what that is. You can always click remember my username, one less thing to remember, and click login. All right, and that will take you into your MyKW home screen right away. And where we'll want to focus our attention is on this top center e-edge control panel box. You'll see it says My Transactions right here. And you'll want to go ahead and click on the blue link that says Start My Transactions. Okay, so you'll hear and see Dotloop referred to as both My Transactions and Dotloop. It's one and the same. All right, so go ahead and click on Start My Transactions there, and in theory, it should take you straight to your Dotloop account without having to sign in further. Okay, so that's the good way, or the good part about signing into your Dotloop account from MyKW. It just automatically logs you into Dotloop. Okay, so it should take you on over to your Dotloop screen. Now, if it does require you to log into your Dotloop account, go ahead and do so. All right, and just a heads up, you can always go to dotloop.com if you prefer to log in that way. Now, while you're catching up and getting here, I just want to point out a couple things. So first of all, let me tell you what Dotloop is. So Dotloop is going to be your online filing cabinet. So you're going to store all of your forms that you use for a transaction right in your Dotloop account. So you're going to have a loop. Okay, a loop is going to be your online file. You're going to have a loop per property that you sell. So for example, if you're representing a client who is selling their home with you and then buying the next home, that's going to be 2 different loops because it's 2 different properties, 2 different transactions. Okay, so that's how it works. It's per property that you have a loop, not per client. All right, and before we get really rolling here, I do want to send out the notes. So I do have notes so that you guys can reference that later. So you can keep these notes on file, just a shared Google Doc there. All right, so you can keep that file printed out if you would like. And I also want to send over a Dotloop overview. So of course this class will go in much more detail. All right, but this Dotloop overview will be a 20-minute overview of Dotloop. So when you're going through a loop and when you actually have a transaction, you can follow this video and pause it so you can follow along. I'll also hyperlink, if you're watching this class recorded, I'll hyperlink these 2 items on the bottom of the YouTube page so you can grab those there as well. All right. Now, when you're in Dotloop, you do want to make sure that you see that it has a KW logo on the top left and says Premium. All right, so you do need it to be a premium account so that you have access to all of your Office documents and that you have access to all of the Dotloop Premium features. If you do not see Premium, if it says Upgrade Now on the top left, go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com. Let us know that you need it upgraded. We can go ahead and do that so you can follow along with the class. Okay, very important that it does not say Upgrade Now. You want to say Premium on the top left. All right, so let's take a little browse around the Dotloop home screen. So in the top right here, we have some navigational icons. All right, I'm going to highlight the most important ones for you to pay attention to, but I'll tell you what each one of them does. So the reporting icon here, that will show you any stats that has to do with your Dotloop accounts, your year-to-date sales, and so forth. All right, loops, this is a big one that you'll be using. All right, it kind of looks like a smiley face with no eyes there. All right, that loops icon will always take you back to your Dotloop home screen, so where we are here. So that's the fastest way to get back home, or if you get lost in the system, this is your best friend here. The tasks icon, so moving over to the right there, the tasks icon, so you can create to-do lists for yourself in each one of your loops, right, which is really great to keep yourself on track. This tasks icon on the very top right of your Dotloop account is an overarching view of all of your to-do lists combined from all of your loops. Moving to the right, we have this people icon. So that will show you all of the people that have been involved in all of your transactions within your Dotloop account. So it's kind of like the Dotloop CRM. If you would like for us to sync your Dotloop contacts with your eEdge contacts, feel free to let us know. You can email us at support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we are more than happy to do that for you. And another very important one, and we'll be starting here in just a moment, we have the templates icon. So this is where all of your blank documents sit. So I'll be showing you in just a moment how you can print out blank documents from your Dotloop account straight from this template section. But before we get started on that, let's go ahead and click on it. It should either have some letters in a circle here. Okay, that's typically now your profile name. So if you're wondering what those initials are, it's whatever the profile is. So mine is named my Market Center name, KW Ballantyne, so that's why it's that. Or you might have your headshot entered in there. And I'll be showing you how to add your headshot in just a moment here. So go ahead and click on that. One thing to note here, your member ID. So if you call the Dotloop support number, and that support number is on the bottom of this dropdown and on the bottom of every page in Dotloop, it will prompt you for your member ID, and if you enter in this member ID, it will move you to the very front of the support queue because you are a Dotloop premium member with KW. So you get faster support, which is awesome. Okay, Dotloop has some great support hours, so make sure to jot down your member ID or just note on where to find that. And what we're going to want to click is where it says My Account in blue here. So again, we are clicking either in the initials in a circle or your headshot in a circle on the top right. And let's go ahead and click on My Account. All right, so we clicked on My Account, and that will take you into the backend settings of your Dotloop account. Now, why this section is so important is because it autofills all of your contact information onto every single form that you bring into your Dotloop account. So it helps. We want you working smarter, not harder. Okay. So first of all, let's go ahead and make sure our headshot is entered in here. It's really important. Your clients are going to be signing legal documents, and with all the unfortunate spam going through the internet, it's really important that they see a familiar face when signing documents to know that that's legitimate. So you can go ahead and click on that red button there. If you don't have a headshot in, it says something like upload or browse. Okay, that will browse your computer. So you can navigate on over to your headshot, wherever that's saved on your computer, and double click to bring that in. Now, while you're doing that, I just want you to know, if you do not have your headshot quite yet or don't want to go ahead and do this, you can always email us your headshot at support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we are more than happy to add your headshot to Dotloop for you. There's also 6 other places we add your headshot throughout your KW technology, so feel free to email it to us and we can add that in for you. You'll also note that you can change your password from here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these columns on the right-hand side. So first of all, let's make sure our first and last name is correct. Obviously, pretty important. Okay, and moving on down, the email address. This is very important to note what your Dotloop email address is. Okay, so when you are having other agents share a document with you within Dotloop, it's really, really important that they share it to this email address specifically so it comes into this Dotloop account. And so please make note of what your Dotloop email is. Let's make sure we have our fax and phone number entered in correctly. Okay, this is going to display on your form, so make sure that's your business phone number. Let me know if the sound's not working and I can always call back in. I'm going to keep teaching, but let me know. All right, please let me know if you can hear me now. Awesome. All right, thanks guys. Sorry about that. Let me know if you have any other issue. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. All right, so back on over to the account settings here. If you do not have a fax number, you can go ahead and enter in your office fax number. So you can ask your front desk receptionist what that is if you'd like to enter that in. It's not required, but you can enter that in. And again, it will just autofill on your forms. E-sign name and e-sign initials. So this is the name that Dotloop will automatically sign your name as. So let's say your name is William, but you go by Bill. Typically this will need to be your legal name since it's signing documents. Of course, you can check in with your broker in charge to verify that. But typically this will be your legal name, and you can choose to put in a middle initial, or if you don't want to sign with a middle initial, you can toggle that right here. Okay. Company name. Make sure you, in the very least, have Keller Williams Realty entered in. Some areas do require the brokerage name to be entered in as well. So that's why I have Ballantyne area. That is my brokerage name. All right, so again, check with your broker in charge, but when in doubt, it doesn't hurt to have your brokerage name entered in there. And on the right-hand side here, we also have our job title. So that does vary depending on your state or region that you're in. If you go by salesperson or broker, realtor, if you are entering in realtor, please make sure to capitalize the entire word realtor. Okay, it is a trademark word, so it has to be capitalized every time that you type it in. Just a heads up on that. All right, tagline is not a required field, and I have not seen that populate on the form, so you can leave that blank if you would like. Totally up to you. But Nerds ID, that will populate onto forms. So if you would like to go ahead and type in your Nerds ID, it's one less thing for you to remember as a new agent. You have a million things to remember. But of course, you can always come back at any time to fill in your Nerds ID if you don't know that offhand. That's no problem at all. All right, and as you're finishing up this section, don't feel rushed, but if you are finished, you can go ahead and scroll on down because we're just going to enter in our address. So on the bottom there, we're entering in our office address. So not your personal address, we want your office address entered in here. Okay, if you're not sure of what your office address is, go ahead and Google it. Google tends to know all. All right, so you can go ahead and look that up and enter that in here. And of course, we want our country to be correct and time zone as well. So I over this entire section and make sure that's all correct and entered in. And once you're done with that, feel free to go ahead and click Save on the very bottom right, that big red button there. And you will see this yellow bar come across your screen confirming the save was successful. Really, anywhere you save in Dotloop, you'll see that yellow bar there. It's the worst when you don't save and lose all your work. We've all been there. So again, make sure to click Save on the very bottom right. But you can come back and edit any of this information in the future. And once you're done, and again, once we click Save on the bottom right, let's go ahead and scroll up to the top of our screen. And on the left-hand section, we're just going to do a little more homework. So I want you to go ahead and click on Profiles on the left-hand side in red. And you may see a couple different profiles display if you are an agent who's transferring market centers, or if you are active in more than one market center, you may have more than one profile here. If you have one profile, that's totally normal as well. So in this profile section, we do have to fill out a couple more pieces of information. It may seem a little repetitive, okay, but you will see your profile name if you want to change that at all. Okay, typically it'll bring over your photo, but it looks like it didn't for me, so I'm going to go ahead and browse my computer to pull in my headshot here, and you can do the same. So I just clicked on Add Photo to pull that in, or of course you can just email us your headshot. Let's make sure our phone number and fax number is entered in correctly. I believe if I'm remembering right, you do have to enter that in again. All right, and next we have these profile details. So really the main field that we need to fill out here is your agent license number. Okay, so the agent license number, typically a long string of numbers. Again, one less thing for you to remember, if you enter it in here, Dotloop will autofill it into every form you bring into Dotloop that requires that information. So again, we want to do that in the agent license number field, kind of the bottom right of that section. In case you're wondering, broker license number, that would be for your broker in charge. So that's the difference. You want to put yours in the agent license number. Now moving down to the company and associations, you should already see your brokerage entered in right here, as long as it doesn't say upgrade now on the top left of your screen like we talked about at the beginning of class. All right, so as long as you're seeing the KW logo on the top left of your Dotloop and it says premium, this should already be taken care of. But if you have any questions on that, feel free to email support@scottloraymarketing.com and we can double check that for you. All right, company, right under there. Again, this is a little repetitive. We do need to enter in our company name and address just one more time. So make sure we have Keller Williams Realty, and then if your brokerage name is required, go ahead and enter that in. When in doubt, just go ahead and put in your brokerage name. Doesn't hurt. And we do need to put in our address one more time. I guess the good part is if you didn't know your office address before, well, you do now. All right, so go ahead and put that in the address section. And as you're finishing that up, I'm just going to talk about the notification settings under there, so don't feel rushed. Continue to enter that in. Notification settings at the very bottom of your screen, so this will show you your notification settings within Dotloop and also the notifications you get via email. Now, as a new agent, I typically suggest leaving these all checked, as they're important things that you want to be notified about. Things like your document has been signed, if your signature is required, if your office sends you a note regarding compliance. Okay, typically you can't get paid until your compliance is all in check. All right, so these are really important things. If you ever find that you're getting inundated with Dotloop emails, you can come in here anytime and uncheck any of these checkboxes here so you receive less emails. And once you're done with that, let's go ahead and click Save on the very bottom right again, that big red button, and you will see that yellow bar again confirming the save is successful. All right, so as you wrap that up, again, don't forget to click Save on the very bottom right. But now let's scroll up to the very top of our screen and go on over to the template section. Okay, so the template section is the icon that looks like two sheets of paper. From this view, you will have to put your mouse over it for it to pop up and show you that it's the templates, but let's go ahead and click on the icon on the very top right. Looks like two sheets of paper there. Now, Dotloop can be used to a couple different capacities. So let's say that you're not a big fan of technology and all you want to do is print out a blank document so you can hand fill it in, bring it onto your appointment so you can explain it to your client and they can hand sign it right next to you. That is perfectly fine. You can absolutely do that with your Dotloop account, and I'm going to show you how to print out blank documents. All right, so the first thing that you'll do is, again, you'll click on the icon that looks like two sheets of paper on the top of your screen, the template section. All right, and it will take you over to your templates. Your office adds in these documents for you. All right, so your screen will look different than mine. I'm a part of the Keller Williams Ballantyne Area Market Center, so depending on what market center you are in, you will have different forms here. So on the left-hand side, you will see a bunch of red form sets going down your screen. So these are form folders that your office sets up for you. So you can scroll down to find the form folder that you might be looking for. And go ahead and click on that. All right, I'm going to go to a listing agreement if you would like to follow along. Again, it will look a little different on your screen. There's nothing wrong with your account. It's just your office adds these in for you. So if you'd like to follow along, go ahead and click on the form set on the left-hand side in red that you believe would have the listing agreement in it. I'm going to scroll back to the top of my screen if I went down, and I'll see a search bar at the very top of the screen. So you see search on the top of all these documents. You can go ahead and click on the word search. It'll be to the right of the little magnifying glass. I can search for the form name or the form number. So let's say I'm looking for a listing agreement, so I'll type in the word listing. And that will pull up all the forms that have the word listing in the title. Now from here, there's two ways to go about printing it out. Right? The first way is I can click on these three drop-down dots on the far right and click download. That will download it outside the system so you can print it out from there. Right? But let's say I'm not sure if this is the correct form. Right? I want to look at it first, but you probably will. All right, so all you'll need to do is go ahead and click on the form name. Click on the form name and that will open it in your Dotloop account. And all you'll want to do is come up to File, and we'll print from there. Okay, and I do know that was a couple steps, so I'm going to show you that again, and I actually have like a short 5-minute video that I'm going to send you guys as well. So you have that on file if you ever want to do this again in the future. So let me show you that one more time so you have the steps down. I don't believe these steps are on the notes I sent out, so you'll want to jot that down if this is something you'll want to do. So on the top left here on the black bar, I'm going to click that little red back arrow to get back to all my templates. And I'll walk you through that one more time. Okay, so step one, we click on the templates icon on the very top right of your Dotloop account. Looks like two sheets of paper. Step two, on the left-hand side, you'll want to select the red form folder, excuse me, on the left-hand side here that you believe would have the form you're looking for. Once you click on that red form folder, we'll use the search bar. So this is step three. We're searching for the form that we need in the search bar. Step four, you can go ahead and click on the form to open that up. In step five, we are going to file and print. All right, so I'm going to send out the short video I have on how to do that if you want to keep that on file. So that'll overview it if you need to come back to that. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and click again on the black toolbar. I see this little red arrow to get back to all my templates. Okay, so that is how you print out blank documents. Now the whole point of Dotloop is to be able to type in your forms so you can send that via email to your clients so they can click to electronically sign. As you can imagine, that makes your life so much easier and cuts down the time to have to do that in half, if not more. Okay, so let me show you how you would go about doing that. We're going to create a practice loop. So first things first, let's get back to our Dotloop homepage. We do so by clicking the loops icon on the very top of your screen. Again, that's an icon that looks like a smiley face with no eyes. So that is the loops icon to get back home. From here, we'll go ahead and click Add Loop on the very top right, that blue button. So add loop on the top right to get going on our new loop. So I'll walk you through these 4 steps here. First step is loop name. So we'll want to go ahead and name this the property address if you know it. I understand that if you're representing the buyer, you won't know the property address out the gate. No worries, you can always change the loop name very easily. I'll show you in just a moment how to do that. But for now, go ahead and name this 123 Practice Loop or 123 Main Street, your home address, whatever you would like to name it. It's really great to have a practice loop in your account so that you can practice doing something within Dotloop before doing it in front of a client, so it looks like you know what you're doing. Always a good thing. All right, so go ahead and name it the property address and click continue on the bottom right. And that will take you over to the loop template. Now what these loop templates are is if you have these available in your account, you may or may not, okay, these are added in by your office staff, so if you do not have these, your office just doesn't utilize that. There's nothing wrong with your account. If you do have these available, I highly suggest using it. What it does, if you select the loop template that you would need, let's say it's a North Carolina listing, for example, or buyer, you can go ahead and click on that and it will pull in all the initial forms that you need to get going on your loop. So it just cuts down some time. All right, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, I'm not going to select a loop template, but just so you know that is available to you. And I'll click continue on the bottom right here. All right, step 3, adding in a photo. This is an optional step. Let me go ahead and show you what this does. You can just watch on my screen. So you can add a photo of the listing to the very top of your loop. Dotloop says if you take the time to add a picture of the listing that they're excited about buying or even the home that they're selling, that client is 5 times more likely to use you again or refer you out because it makes them feel like, wow, this agent created a personalized website for me to sign my documents. And I'll show you how easy it is to add that in. First step would be either if you're the listing agent, you may have photos taken of the home on your computer, or you can save it from the MLS. So it needs to be on your computer first. Then we'll click upload a photo here. It will browse your computer. And you can just double click on a photo of the home. Now it pulls it in. You'll see it's pretty cropped. It's just the center of the photo. There's no way to really resize that or change where it's focusing on. It kind of is what it is, but you can add that in to make it more customizable for your clients, but totally optional. And then you can click done on the bottom right here. So we clicked on the done button on the bottom right. There's a blue button. Sorry, I was a little fast. And that will take you on over to your loop that you created. So congratulations, you created your first loop. So now we'll just need to go ahead and click on this new loop that we created, or of course you can click view loop on the bottom right, either one works, to open that loop right away. All right, and that will take you into the new loop that you have created. And there are 3 main sections of your loop. So let me take you around your loop real quick. So first of all, the top section is the main section that you'll be working in. That is the document section. So this is where you'll be adding in all of the forms that you're using for the transaction. You'll be preparing the forms, so typing in them, and sharing it to your clients to electronically sign. So again, most of your time will be spent in this document section. Moving down, the second main section is this people section. So this will show you all the people that are involved in this transaction. You will always see yourself and your office admin in this people section. Okay, but as we get going, and I'll show you this in just a moment, we'll also see our clients in this section, maybe your mortgage provider, and so forth. And lastly, on the very bottom here, we have the task section. As I mentioned earlier, you can create to-do lists for yourself in each loop, so you can add in to-do lists of all the million things you have to do to get a listing live, for example, like add a sign to the yard, add a lockbox, put it in the MLS, get it professionally measured, all the items that you need to do. You can create to-do lists for yourself, and then you can actually save that to-do list as a template so you can add that to each and every listing loop that you create. So great way to keep yourself on task, and if you're like me, I love checking off things on a to-do list. So let's go ahead and scroll up to the top of our screen. And a big question we get is, great, I created a loop, now what do I do? Okay, so the big thing that you'll want to do, and this is very beneficial to how smooth your loop goes, is you'll want to click on View Details on the very top of our loop. It'll be under the property address, under the loop name. You'll see in red it says View Details. Now, if you are following along, if you do not do this step, I will lose you for a while. So again, at the very top of your screen, under the loop name, go ahead and click on View Details. And that will take you into the back end of the loop. So before we get going on this, let me explain what this section does. So all of this information, so let's go ahead and scroll down, take a browse around. You'll start to see a bunch of fields going down your screen. So all of this information automatically, if you fill it in here, will autofill into every single form that you bring into this loop specifically. So it's a huge time saver, but not to mention, if you are a new agent or you're new to the forms in your area, those forms are pretty overwhelming. Some of the contracts can be 10 pages long, and it's hard to know where all that information goes on the form. So in this section here, Dotloop straight up prompts you for this information. So if you fill it in these fields, Dotloop knows where on the form to fill in that information, so it does it for you. So not only is it a great time saver, but it's a great teaching tool as well. All right, so that's what we're doing here, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment more. But for now, scroll to the top of your screen. We need to answer a couple questions about the loop. So first of all, transaction type. Go ahead and change the transaction type to if this is a purchase or listing for sale. You'll see a couple of other options. I'm going to do a listing in today's class, so feel free to follow along. So I'm going to select listing for sale. Once you select the transaction type, you have to do that step first. You will then be able to change the loop status. So loop statuses are really important for your Dotloop homepage organization. All right, and I cover this in depth in the Dotloop 201 class. All right, but you can change what the status is, if this is an active listing, under contract, or so forth. Just a quick note, there is no deleting anything in Dotloop. You cannot delete you cannot delete loops, you cannot delete forms. So if you lose a loop, it's in there, you can't delete it. The only way to hide it, so to speak, is archiving it. So if you want to archive your practice loop, or if a transaction falls through, you can always archive it from here to not have that show up anymore. Less clutter. For now, I'll go ahead and select active listing. And the loop name here, I did mention how easy it is to change the loop name at any time. So if you need to change the loop name, I can go ahead and click on Use Custom Name. So if you didn't know the property address right out the gate, or you want to add in the client's name, I can go ahead and do that here and click Save, and it updates it right away. So Tony Stark is my client for any Iron Man fans. This better be a nice home he's buying. All right, so let's go into the people section now. So it is really important that the first steps that you do is adding the people into your loop so that your clients can electronically sign it. Again, you will always see yourself and your office admin in your loop. And as you might have guessed, we'll go ahead and click Add Person on the top right of the people section. So go ahead and click Add Person. And it will pop up this box where we need to fill in 3 main fields. That would be the full name, email address, and role. So you can go ahead and put in John Smith, your spouse's name, your favorite TV character, right, whoever you would like to be your client for today. So we need a first and last name, an email address. So since this is a practice loop, I would highly suggest putting in a personal email address that you have. So an email address that is not connected to your Dotloop account. Right, this way you can see what it looks like from a client's perspective when they receive a form to sign. And I'll be going over that at the very end of class. I'll show you what it looks like from a client's perspective. So if your clients call you with questions, you know how to direct them. Okay, it's very easy for your clients to use. And a role, last but not least. We have this role here. We do need to assign a role, very, very important. This is how Dotloop knows which fields for the client to sign. So very important that you always assign a role. So in this case, I'll go ahead and select that this client is a seller, but you can scroll down and see all the different roles that you have available. There's a little scroll bar here to see all the different roles. but the main ones are at the top, so I'm going to select that this client is a seller. And as soon as I select a role, it will pop down all this other information that you can enter in about the client. All that is optional to enter in. It will autofill it onto the forms for you, but you don't have to fill it in here if you do not want to. And let's talk really briefly here about this Add to My Team checkbox on the top left. So if you're taking notes on today's class, please make a note to never, ever, ever click this checkbox if you are adding a client to your loop. Okay. So what this does is if you were to click this checkbox here, it would make it so that your client could see everything in your loop that you can see. And you of course don't want that. Okay, the general concept of Dotloop is everything in your loop is private until you manually share it. So your clients can only see what you choose to share with them. Okay, so we never want to click this Add to My Team feature for your clients, but it is actually a really great feature, so let me tell you when you would want to use it. So let's say you are co-listing a property with another agent in your office. So emphasis on you are on the same side of the transaction with another agent, you're working it together. If you add that other agent to your loop and click Add to My Team, it would put this loop in that other agent's Dotloop account so that you guys can collaborate on the loop together. All right, so again, you'd want to be on the same side of the transaction specifically. Another great time to use it if you have a transaction coordinator or if you are in a team, a real estate team, you have a team admin, you can add your admin to every loop, click Add to My Team. It will put this loop in your admin or transaction coordinator's loop so they can help you out. All right, so after that little spiel here, we just want to go ahead and click Add Person on the very bottom right to add that client in. So red button on the bottom right. To add that contact in, and if that contact had a spouse, you can of course repeat that process, click Add Person on the top right. We also need to give yourself a role, so under your name, again we see our Dotloop email address, which is important for you to know. And where it says none here, let's go ahead and change that to your role. Okay, it's very important for you to have a role so that Dotloop knows where you need to sign as the agent. So we'll go ahead and say that you're the listing agent. Maybe. Alrighty. So we have our role entered in here. So now let's scroll down slightly and we'll see our property address and some other information. So this is where I was talking about where all this information autofills onto your forms. So if you would like to, let's go ahead and put in some basic information here about the property so you can see what it looks like when Dotloop autofills, so you're not caught off guard. I'm just going to put in the address information here. Feel free to, or you can just watch on my screen, that's fine too. And as you're wrapping that up, feel free to scroll down and see all the other information that you have available to enter in here. So we have financial information such as sales price, commission rate, and so forth, contract dates, offer dates, contract info, referral, and so forth. So you can scroll down and see all the information you can enter in. Once you're done with that, let's scroll to the very top of our screen and click Save. It'll be on the red bar. You'll see it says Save on the far right. Please don't forget to save. You'll see a yellow bar at the top of your screen confirming that save was successful. So again, one more time, just make sure you click Save on the very top of your screen on the red toolbar on the far right. Save. And then we'll click Back to Loop on the very top left. So we see Back to Loop on the top left. Again, if you're following along, if you miss a step, I'll lose you. So above the property address, let's go ahead and click Back to Loop on the top left. And that will take you back to your loop where we can start adding forms to your loop. Now, you should already have at least one folder added in. Okay, if you selected a loop template, when we were creating the loop, you may have more than one folder. And you should see these three blue boxes here on how to add forms. Now, if you don't see these three blue boxes, no worries. Just go ahead and click Add Document to the far right of any of the folder names. and that will display these 3 blue boxes right away. So these are 3 different ways that you can add forms to your loop. We're going to talk about this first blue box in today's class, in the template section. I do discuss the second 2 boxes here in the Dotloop 201 class, so feel free to check that out at slmtraining.com. All right, but this templates icon, this should look familiar to you, right? That looks like 2 sheets of paper, right? Because on the top right here, that's where we started class, right? This templates icon, just trying to draw it full circle for you guys. So you'll see it says add an interactive form by selecting one from templates. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click on that first blue box. And it says choose a document to add. It should look slightly familiar. Okay. On the left-hand side, we see all the red form folders going down your screen, and you'll see a little scroll bar here that you can click to scroll. And again, your form folders will be different than mine. But let's go ahead. I'm going to bring in a listing agreement. You can bring in whatever form you would like to. The concept will be the same. So go ahead and click on the form folder on the left-hand side for whichever form you'd like to pull in. When I select that form folder on the left-hand side, it will turn it black, the lettering. And I can use the search bar at the top to search for the form I'm looking for. Now, if you have no idea what forms that you need for your loop, check in with your office staff. They might have checklists for all the forms that they require for each step in your transaction, so that is often very helpful. And let's go ahead and type in the name of the form we're looking for. So if I type in the word listing, I'm looking for a listing agreement. You'll notice that does cut off the form names if they're too long. Just a quick note, if you hover your mouse over the form name, it does give you a little black speech bubble telling you what the entire form name is, if that helps at all. And all you'll need to do is go ahead and click the checkbox to the left of whichever form you would like to pull into your loop. And click copy on the bottom right. Alright, so again, we clicked on the red form folder on the left-hand side. We use the search bar at the top of our screen. And then we click the checkbox to the left of whichever form we'd like to pull in and simply click copy, that red button on the bottom right here, to pull that into our loop right away. It will let you know that one of one was imported and you can click OK. All right, so we now have our form in our loop, so now we need to edit it. To do so, all you'll need to do is simply click on the form name to open that up in your Dotloop account right away. So go ahead and click on that form name, and that will open it up. And you should see an autofill box. This autofill box is our best friend, so please never X out of it. Okay, so first of all, in this top roles section, it is super important that you have your clients entered in with whichever role corresponds with that client. The reason this is so important is that your client will not be able to electronically sign unless they have a role. All right, so if you've been following along with me, you should already have your client in line with seller 1. Okay, so we told Dotloop that our client was a seller, so it already knows. It's already entered in there. But let's say it didn't. Let's say you just have select person right here. No problem at all. You can simply click select person and you can either select your client from that drop-down list, or let's say you didn't know there was a spouse and I need to add that in now. I can click add person to add the spouse in right away. Same concept with listing agent. Make sure you see your name in line with listing agent or your role. Now scrolling down this autofills box, we should already see the property address information entered in here because we did that in the view details section. So great, already saving you time. We can go ahead and enter in the rest of the information it prompts for, and again it will autofill it for you. We have our listing agent information. This all pulls from the My Account section where we started class. So again, I know that was a little tedious and not fun, but it's already saving us time. And you can scroll on down to the very bottom and click autofill on the very bottom right. So you'll always want to do this. It's very important for your clients to be able to electronically sign and to save you time. Always scroll to the bottom and click autofill. Now, once I click that red autofill button on the very bottom right, it will take me to the form, and I see this little black speech bubble on the right side that says 2 roles have been assigned and 13 fields have been autofilled. Okay, I know the fields that have been autofilled because they are yellow. Any fields on your form that are yellow means that was autofilled in. So now what you'll want to do is go ahead and prepare the form. So you'll want to type in the form, fill out all the fields, and I think you'll really like this. It is very easy and user-friendly. So any fields that you want to fill in, all you need to do is click on the text field and you can start typing. So simply click on the text field to start typing. It's as easy as that. Any check boxes, you can simply click to check. Any date fields. So I know this is a date field next to the expiration date, for example. I know this is a date field because I see a little calendar icon, so I can simply click on that field and a calendar will display. I can use the arrows on either side at the top to scroll on over to the month I'm looking for. And then simply click on the day, and that will fill that in. All right, so that's as easy as it is to go through and fill out the form. Pretty much click and start typing. All right, so that's how you'll fill out the form. So let's take a look at the signature fields. So if you'd like to follow along and would like to scroll down to the bottom, if you have initials on the bottom of each page, go ahead and scroll there, or of course you can just watch on my screen. Now next is seller initials. I do have my client's initials entered in. Now this in print, since I see it in print, that is just indicating to me that I set it up correctly. That is not showing that it is signed. Okay, if I were to print this document, this field would be blank here. So when you see your client's initials in print here, that is indicating to you that you set it up correctly, that your client can electronically sign. It looks very different when they actually do sign it, and I'll show you that in just a moment here. If it just says seller on each one of these, they will not be able to electronically sign. So it's very, very important that you actually see your client's initials in print for them to be able to electronically sign. If you do not, so let's troubleshoot. Let's say you do just see seller on either one of these boxes here. All you need to do is pull up this autofill box again, so you can click autofill in the top black toolbar. It's asking if I want to save. Make sure that you have the role entered in, so I could enter in the person's role. And then scroll down and click autofill on the bottom. Okay, so that is just what you would do if it did just say seller on both of these. Okay, that autofill box, you can pull it right back up from there. So very, very important that you see your client's initials in print. So let's take a look at what it looks like when it's actually electronically signed. So for you to electronically sign it, you'll see individual agent's initials. Okay, it's an orange-ish box for the listing agent. So if I hover over that, I can see the listing agent and who it can be signed by is my name. And I can click Sign Now. Now this is what it looks like the first time your clients go to electronically sign as well. The first time and the first time only that you or your client goes to electronically sign, they have the option to edit their signature. So let's say you misspelled your client's name, or you put in Bill and they go by William, for example. They could change that right here under Confirm Your Name. Or let's say I want to sign with my middle initial. I can go ahead and enter that in here, and that will change it, and click Adopt and Sign. Now you can see the big difference of when it's actually electronically signed versus the second option here, where it just shows that it's set up correctly for them to electronically sign. Okay, when it's actually signed, you'll see it's in cursive with a time and date stamp. Now you can just watch on my screen. I'm going to show you how easy it is from here. Now when I go to the next field and click Sign Now, it just pops in my initials without verifying my signature further. Okay. So now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of this form to the signature fields. It's the same exact concept. I just want you guys to see it so you feel comfortable with it. So if you'd like to scroll to any signature fields on your form, feel free. But you will notice it does need to say your client's name sign here. So my client is named Tony. Tony sign here. Specifically, it should not say seller sign here. Now for the listing agent information, I can go ahead and do the same thing as the initial boxes. hover over the field to sign, click sign now, and it will pop it in with a time and date stamp. All right, so that is how you go about filling out the entire form and to be ready for it to be electronically signed. So let's talk about one more scenario. Let's talk about if your clients are not a fan of electronic signatures. You'll run into that, they just don't trust it. Or let's say that you're going on the listing appointment anyway, you would like to type up your form, but then you'd like to print it out so you can bring it onto your appointment so you can explain the form to the client and have them hand sign it right next to you. You can absolutely do that. So first what you would do, use your imagination that we filled in the entire form first. All right, and then all you'll need to do is go to File on the top black toolbar, and you have the print option. Okay, just in case you're wondering the difference between printing and downloading. Okay, printing, pretty obvious. Downloading would just be to download it to your computer. It is really great to download all executed forms to your computer so you have a backup. It's the worst if you get a fully executed document and then the signatures get erased. So it's always great to download your fully executed documents to your computer so you have a backup. Okay, as I mentioned that, all right, so it's very important. So what I'm going to show you now is how to share the form to your client to get it electronically signed. Now it's very, very important that you fill out the entire form first and then send it to your client to electronically sign. If your client goes ahead and signs the form and then you realize you need to change something on the form, it will erase all of your client's signatures because it thinks they didn't sign for that change. So it makes sense, it's just a total pain. So again, make sure you fill out the entire form first and then you share it to your clients to electronically sign it. So let's talk about sharing it to your clients via email. So what you'll do, on the very top right, this big red button here, we see Save and Share. So let's go ahead and click on Save and Share. Or if you already saved it, it would just say Share. So we're clicking Save and Share, big red button on the top right, and it will take you to the share screen. Now it will first of all show you the document that you're sharing, so you know you're sharing the correct one. And it will show you who has access. So if you can't remember if you already shared it to your client, it would show them their name right here if you had already shared it. In this Add People section, you should see your client's name. I can see their role as a seller, and I can see that they can sign 11 fields. 11 fields assigned to them, meaning they can sign that many fields. So that just confirms to me that I set it up correctly for them to sign. And let's talk about this little option on the far right here that says Can Sign. Okay, let's click on that. Now I have all this information I'm about to say to you in the notes that I sent out at the beginning of class, so you don't have to remember all of this. Okay, it is a good amount of information. And if you hover your mouse over each one of these options, it does tell you what each one of them does, but I'm just going to overview that for you. So this Can Sign option, that will be used 8, 9 times out of 10. You will share it to your client as just Can Sign. You're the real estate professional. You know what needs to be filled in the form. Okay, so you don't want your client, you don't need them to be typing in the form. You just need them to sign for whatever you put in there. You don't want them changing things like, oh, I don't know, your commission rate, for example. Okay, so again, Can Sign is the one that you'll most normally use. These other options, so View Only. So times you'll use that if you're sharing it to the mortgage provider. So if you get a fully executed contract and you need to share it to the mortgage provider, you can add in the mortgage provider's name here, email address, their role, and then share it as View Only. Or if you have a younger couple and they want their parents to overview the forms, you can add them in here as View Only. All right, other options here, so Can Fill and Sign. All right, a time that you'll use that, really the main time, is if you're sharing a property disclosure. So your client is the one that obviously knows the most about their property, so if they need to fill in the property disclosure about things like the age of their roof, or age of their HVAC, HOA information, and so forth. This Can Fill and Sign will allow them to fill out the entire form and then sign it when they're done. And last but not least, we have Can Edit in Private. So the main time you'll want to use this is if you are sharing the form to the broker on the other side. This will allow the broker all the same rights that you have within Dotloop, so that the agent on the other side can counteroffer. It would allow that agent to edit the contract, for example, send it to their clients to electronically sign it, and then share it back to you. Of course, just a note on that, if that agent did make any changes to the contract, it would of course erase all your client's signatures because they didn't sign for that. All right, but again, 9 times out of 10, we just share as can sign. I do know that was a lot of information. All right, but reference the notes and it'll repeat that. And we can go ahead and click share on the bottom right here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click share. And I will show you what it looks like from a client's perspective now. So it says on the top here, this document has been shared, waiting on others. So I know I shared it, and you can click done. Now just watch on my screen for this. I do have my email up from the client's perspective. Let's see if that's come in. All right. So this is from the client's perspective, so just watch on my screen. I want to show you how easy it is for your clients to electronically sign it. So pretend I am now the client, and I have received this email from my awesome agent, you, and it says, please review. So I click on that email. It says, my agent has shared a document with you for the loop. So it shows the loop name. So this is what it looks like when your client receives the document to sign. And I can click view document. All right, so now when I click view document, 1 second here. When I click view document, it will tell me at the top here from the client's perspective, click start signing to begin. Okay, it's blinking, got it. So I click start signing, and it will take me to the first field to sign. So it shows me to sign, it says click here, seller initials. So I click here. Now again, the first time and the first time only that I go to sign it, it will give me the option to change my name. So let's say I sign with my legal name, Anthony. I can change that here, and then click adopt and sign. So it's the first time and the first time only. It will then take me to the next field to sign, so I can click here, it adds it in, and it keeps going down the form like this. Now, you can see that moves them to the very bottom, the next place to sign. They can totally scroll up and read what they're signing. I don't know how many of them do that, but they can. They do have the option to do that. So they can go ahead, once they read it, go ahead and go all the way down the field to sign everything. I'm going to show you, I'm just going to go ahead and finish signing so you can see what it looks like at the end. All right, last field. So I have finished signing. It says you're almost done. Click finish to send the completed document back to the sender. So I click finish signing. And once I do that, as the client, okay, they can rate Dotloop. But it then gives, Dotloop then gives them the option to create a free Dotloop account. If they do choose to do that, it will give them the option they can sign back into Dotloop.com at any time and view all the documents that they've been signing. If they do not create an account, you still receive the signed document back, so no worries there. Right? But that is how easy it is for your clients to sign in Dotloop. All right, so now hopefully it's definitely great to practice that on your end. So if your clients call with any questions, you can walk them through that. All right, so the very last thing that we're going to do in today's class is I'm going to show you how to submit for compliance review, and then I will let you go enjoy your Friday Eve. All right, so if you're more likely on the form that we were working on. All right, so you can go ahead and click on the back arrow on the very top left of the form. This is where I left you. Click on the back arrow on the very top left on this black toolbar to the left of the document name to get back to your loop. All right, and let's talk about submitting for review. And this is on the notes I sent out as well, an overview of this. All right, submitting for review. So you will need to submit your loop to your office for review, for compliance review. So your office staff awesomely goes through your loop to make sure that you have all your forms, to make sure that you're in compliance. And typically you have to have all of your forms in there to get paid, which is why I think we do this whole real estate thing. So when you submit for review, it is a little different for each market center, so check in with your office staff on their policy and when they want you to be submitting for review. I'm going to tell you the general time frame on when to submit for review, but your office staff will be able to make sure that's all correct for you. So first of all, how you submit for review is clicking on Submit for Review on the very top right of your loop. You'll see it says Submit for Review. It will then give you the option to select which folder that you are submitting for review. So if you have multiple folders, you can submit one that's ready. And you can select the type. So let's say I'm submitting this folder, it's a listing folder. Okay, you can also enter in why you're submitting for review. So if you can let them know if you're submitting any missing documents. And do not do this right now, okay? But you can then click submit on the bottom right to submit your loop for review. Again, don't do that right now. Okay, your office staff won't like getting a bunch of random loops. All right, but that's what you'll do when you're ready for it. So let me tell you real quick, in general, when you'll be submitting for your submitting to review for your office. This is different for each and every office, so please talk to your office staff on their policy and when they want you to be submitting for review. So if you are submitting a listing for review, typically you'll want to submit that for review 3 times. Once when the listing goes live in the MLS with all your listing documents, like the listing, the exclusive right to sell, and so forth, all your listing documents. You'll want to submit for review a 2nd time when the listing goes under contract with your green sheet, and I'll be showing you where to get to the green sheet in just a moment here. And a 3rd time when the transaction closes with all your closing documents. So when it's your listing, you'll submit for review 3 times. If you're representing the buyer, you'll submit for review twice. Okay, once when it goes under contract and once when it closes. All right, so how you get to your green sheet, and typically you'll want to fill out your green sheet when it goes under contract, but again, check with your office staff on when they want you to be submitting that. Let me show you how to get to your green sheet. So under the property address here, we click on View Details. Okay, this should be familiar to you since we started the loop in here. Clicking View Details under the property address or the loop name. And you'll then see on the top right the option to submit to a green sheet. Okay. Now, what a green sheet is you're telling your office how you're getting paid. So if you are splitting the transaction with another agent in your office, or if you have a referral on the transaction that needs to be sent out, that is what you're entering in on the green sheet. Right. So right here, that's how you'll submit to green sheet. So you can pull that in right from there. All right, guys, so that was the Dotloop 101 class, all the basics of Dotloop. Feel free to check out Dotloop 201 on slmtraining.com to further your knowledge with some tips, tricks, time savers to help out with that. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to email us at support@scottleroymarketing.com. You can put attention my name, which is Leah, L-E-A-H, and I'd be more than happy to help you out with any of your Dotloop questions. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Take care.